Ya Chicago tiene una radio por internet que toca todo tipo de música, las 24 horas, 7 días de la semana. Dimensión Latina FM. Solo música buena.
Buenas tardes, hola amigos, ¿cómo están? Vive de tus rentas. Ya estamos empezando la primavera y hoy estoy súper emocionada porque tenemos a un súper invitado. Venimos súper casuales porque estamos bien ocupados, estamos viendo el barrio ahorita, la colonia ahorita, cómo se está moviendo. Y bueno, ya tengo el honor de presentarles a Mansick. Él es inversionista, él tiene más o menos 8 años en el negocio. Comenzó como por medio tiempo con los famosos signs que vemos en la calle y ahorita ya tiene una carrera impresionante, ¿no? Con lo que ha hecho. Tiene una compañía de bienes y raíces, tiene una compañía de diseño, es contratista y ahora viene a promocionar lo que más me entusiasma a mí, lo que más me emociona, viene a promocionar su curso de cómo podemos invertir en bienes y raíces. Así que voy a dejarlo hablar. Él va a estar participando en inglés nada más, así que esperemos puedan obtener el valor que estamos buscando. ¿Cómo estás, Matt? Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hola.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bueno.
Muy bueno. It's cute. I guess he is. He's very good at what he does. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us. We're very excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. We are, as you know, this is a platform for the Spanish-speaking community. Hence, we are going to be speaking English. But for the community that really doesn't have that knowledge out there, and that it really is hard to find the knowledge of being able to invest in real estate and believing that it's not so complicated or it's not really expensive or it's more or less traditional than most people think. I think it's just basically easy. It's just a matter of having the right knowledge.
Yeah, it's like 100% correct. It's all about being creative and basically believing in yourself and finding the right people and gaining enough knowledge and having confidence and going out and getting experience and growing from that point.
Sure. And I feel like most of people think that it's very easy for us to say that, right? Because you are at a certain level right now that you sit with a lot of confidence and say these words. And most of people want to know exactly how do you get there? How do you start? Where do you start?
So the two biggest things I would say to start from the get-go, if you don't have any experience, is to gain as much knowledge as you can, and then also find a mentor. If there's something you want to do, find someone who's already doing it, and learn from them and have them teach you, and you follow in their footsteps because they already know. The biggest thing that kind of messes you up is the things that you don't know exist. So someone who's already been there knows like those pitfalls and those red flags to look out for. So you find someone who's already done that, they can tell you what to look out for, and they can guide you.
So how do you go from, I think the biggest challenge here, before getting to all of that, I think the biggest challenge is for people or anybody to make the decision of, this is what I want to do. Of course, I'm scared. How do I leave my job? What kind of decision I have to make? Or how do you do that? What kind of power do we have to find in ourselves to get to that point? What did you do?
So that's a loaded question. It's different for every different person because everyone has different places they're coming from and different, responsibilities, different people that they have to care for. But there's kind of like the biggest thing is a mindset shift, right? Because whenever there's something you want to accomplish, you're the only one that can hold yourself back. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of like, before I did anything, before a lot of people get into real estate investing, they start learning. A lot of times it takes like 1 or 2 years to actually kind of get through all that, feel that you have enough knowledge to kind of go out and start investing, because it's that fear that you got to get over. For me, I was at a full-time job. I was working part-time on my business, doing wholesaling, learning real estate investing, doing deals. And after a few years, I was like, okay, well, I got to go forward. This is what I really want to do. And I took that plunge and incorporated and started investing full-time. But for everyone, it's really like a personal decision of what, because if you have a good job and you have good income coming in, you could start slow by buying rental property and building that up. And if you get your rental portfolio and passive income that you have, as you build that up and it surpasses maybe what you're making at your job, that might be a good time to leave. Or say if you're at a job that you absolutely hate and you're not really making a lot of money, then what do you really have to lose if you want to leave that and go full-time into investing?
Absolutely. I think, like you just said, it's a matter of planning. Where do I want to go? What's my main goal? And how long? And how am I going to get there? So if you can handle the job for a little bit and kind of put things aside, maybe save money and just have strategies. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's really a case-by-case basis kind of. It's really your decision, because once it's your decision to make, and you got to live with the consequences. And you also got to live with the consequences of taking an action and saying, oh, one day I'm gonna save money for a bunch of years, and then one day I'll invest. And then before you know it, 20 years went by, you never did anything, and you're getting ready to retire, and you're not making anything, and you're living off your kids. You got to find that time period with.
So you think it's mainly about like what do I want to do when I grow up type of thing?
Yeah, it's a big plunge. Some people do it part-time. They want to build up rental passive income, and other people are like, I'm going to go deep into this and go and do 10 flips a year.
Right, but a lot of people, and regardless, there are a lot of people, I have clients actually that are business owners that have really good income, really good assets, like cash assets sitting on the side. They understand the business of real estate, but they're so afraid to touch that cash. They're just paralyzed by it. I yesterday spoke with another couple that they have a lot of equity in their property. They are open to hear this opportunity, and yet their questions are the same, which is the fear, right? I want to do it, but I don't want to lose my house. And of course, I thought I explained everything correctly, but it goes back to, isn't that the common denominator?
Yeah, so if you're talking about fear specifically, that's the biggest thing is the fear of the unknown, right? Because you're just like, oh, because once you do one investment and it works well, then that fear goes away somewhat, because then you know kind of the risk, and you do it again and again, and then you get desensitized to that and you understand what to look out for. So if it's something that you're fearful of, start out small, do like a small investment, see how that goes. Then you're like, wow, that worked out well. Then you can make another one, and it kind of just snowballs. But if you're just like on that line where you never take a chance and you just let basically fear paralyzes people, you don't do anything for years. So what do you really have to lose? Oh, maybe you might lose a little bit of money, but then don't start with that much. But the more you know and the more comfortable you are and the less risk that you take, the less you minimize the fear. But I would say if you're letting fear hold you back from doing anything, like that's not productive whatsoever. You gotta take the plunge at one point or another, right?
Sure, absolutely. I do get a lot of, I'm very lucky, get a lot of inquiries about this subject through the show, and I meet with people and I can just see it in their faces. They're so skeptical. like to the like in the bottom part of the skepticism, like big time. It's really hard. So I encourage them to go online and do a little bit more research, which is probably what you and I have done in the last few years.
Skeptical about what?
About everything. Like this is so easy. It's so true to.
It's not easy. It's hard work.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really hard.
Please. So elaborate exactly. So when you talk about, you can start small. What would be if we were to break it down? Let's just break it down to, let's say, wholesaling, which will be the cheapest and easiest thing to do. Correct?
Yeah, wholesaling's super easy to get into. You barely have any risk whatsoever. It's more just time-based and then knowledge-based.
What is wholesaling?
So wholesaling is when you find a motivated seller, someone who owns a property that wants to sell and doesn't want to list it on the MLS, and you have a conversation with them directly. You get the property under contract with them, and then you find someone else like a rehabber, a fix and flipper, or a landlord, and then you assign and sell the contract to them for a markup, maybe $5,000 more than what you got under contract for, maybe $10,000. Because you're going out and doing that work, that you're doing both people a service, because that seller doesn't know fix and flippers and rehabbers and landlords out there, and they can't find the buyers. And then the rehabbers and the landlords, they want good deals, and they don't have the time to go out there and talk to motivated sellers and negotiate and find those deals. So you basically play the middleman, and then you have interest in the property by getting under contract, and you're signing the contract to the end buyer.
And by finding, meaning you must go look for it.
Yeah, so it's actually a lot of work. It's not super expensive. There's different ways to do it. You can go on Craigslist, which is free. You can go to networking events. You can talk to people. You can do referrals. You can put up yellow road signs. So if you see the We Buy Houses road signs, that'll bring in phone calls. You can do direct mail. You could send direct mail to people's houses. That they open like a yellow letter or like a postcard, and it says, like to buy your house. I can come by and give you an offer. Give me a call.
I find that we have we're very lucky because obviously among our, circle of influence and such, we're always talking about it. Hey, my neighbor is living this house or whatever, and they just don't know what to do with it. And they use it. Most of us see this, obviously people that don't know about it, those are big challenges. Oh, this person is going to lose this house. That's a big problem. And people don't do anything about it. And I always tell people, if you find that case, that's the one I want to talk to immediately, because we can solve their problem. And that's in regards to finding the challenging property. Now, when I talk to my buyers or sellers, I usually tell them, drive around your neighborhood, or when you're commuting to work, just look at the streets, look at the houses, and have a pen and paper available so you can get all the information.
Yeah, so also what you're referring to is like bird dogs. So a bird dog is just, if you tell people like, oh, I'm looking for houses, or I'm looking for people who buy houses, people that are on the lookout for houses to tell you. So like a mailman would be a good one. They go up and down the block every day, and they know which houses either isn't getting mail or mail is piling up. Like it could be a vacant house. Maybe they got foreclosed on. Maybe it was inherited. Even say like people that work at Home Depot, like customers come in and they're like, oh, I'm buying stuff. And like, oh, well, I need this because I'm fixing up my house. And it's like, well, why are you fixing it up? You're looking to sell? And they're like, yeah, I'm trying to put it on the market. And it's like, well, I know a flipper that could just buy it straight. You don't even have to fix it up. He'll just give you a cash offer and you can close in 30 days. So yeah, that's another way to find it, is you tell other people what you're doing, and then referrals kind of just come in.
Sure. So that's one way to make money. Let's say we are a little bit more savvy. We have the contractor that has a little bit of cash. He knows what to do, but he can't find the money. That's the biggest challenge, really, finding the money. Isn't that when you say that?
So when you really know how it works, that's actually the easiest part. The deals.
How does it really work, man?
No. So the thing is, okay, if you take the average person off the street and you're like, okay, I want to buy a piece of property.
That's who I'm addressing here.
So if you want to buy a property, you're just like, okay, well, I'm going to go to a bank, right? You go to a bank, 80% of bank loans get denied. Banks actually only fund properties that are livable condition. Mm-hmm. So if you want to do a fix and flip, there's actually very few, if any, bank programs out there to actually do a house that's uninhabitable, because the bank doesn't want to take on that risk. They'll give you a loan once it's livable, but they don't want to take that risk on you going out and taking a big rehab and then not working out, and then they lose their money because they can't resell their note on the on the secondary market.
They're very structured about what they're looking for. So that's what I mean. I mean, most of us, the average person, of course, you and I have a little bit more knowledge and advantage. They the audience know, and that's the point of this. So that's the other option. So where do you find those options? Where do I
there's
go?
a few options. Probably the easiest three to use are, so there's this thing called hard money loans, and they're basically just fix and flip loans. So they're not the primary like bank loans. They're secondary alternative market loans where they'll fund 80% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab. So as the buyer, the rehabber, you only need to come to the table with 20% of the purchase price, which, you know, sometimes can still be a lot of money.
Sure.
But that's a way to get a big chunk of it financed. And I actually originated hard money loans myself. I just started a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Where and actually for one of your clients as well. Now that I think about it. Because I have a few hard money loans out myself now. That's actually how I did my first 4 flips. And what it is mainly is that it's asset based. It's not so much based on the person. So there's loans out there where it's just like they'll see what the property, where you're trying to purchase it for, how much the rehab budget and scope is, and then what the resale price would be after it's fixed up. And they'll base the loan based off that information. And it'll be a little bit based off kind of your background, and you get better rates if you have more experience, if you flipped houses before.
Sure.
Also, if if your credit score is higher, but they go pretty low for credit score, they'll fund a lot of different people in different backgrounds. And then actually, even without tax returns, there's like a lot of kind of, again, there's stated income loans out there, and there's, you know, if you haven't filed your taxes, you'll pay a little bit more, but you can get funding out there.
Absolutely, and that's precisely what I tell people. It's like, don't focus on the front part. Just organize your finances, what the income is going to be, the return, and all of that. And that's how you really price this money. Don't focus on the high interest per se. The quotation.
Well, because it's a short-term loan, and then, you know, depending on the size of your flip, I mean, most flips take between 6 months to 12 months. So even if you're like, oh, I'm paying 10, 11, 12% interest, it's not a 30-year loan. You're not paying that over 30 years.
Correct.
As long as you calculate that from the beginning and you put it into your numbers and it makes sense, and your minimum profit margin is there on the back end when you go to flip it, just account for those numbers. If it makes sense, do the deal.
And we go back again to training our mind not to focus on those things that we're trained to think, the higher expensive money or the traditional financing. So where do we find your information for hard money lending, for hard money?
Yes, you can actually contact me directly. You want me to give my information?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so my phone number is 312-871-9363. And then if you want to email me, my email is Matt, M-A-T-T, at parkplacepropertygroup.com. So hard money is one. Another one is private lenders. So that's just like individuals who have money. So say you have an uncle and he might happen to have $100,000 that he saved over the last 20 years. And you did enough research and know enough about real estate where you're like, oh, I think I'm ready to do my first flip. I checked all the numbers. It makes sense. I'm a contractor. I can, or even if you're not a contractor,
sure.
If it makes sense, you could go to that person and say, how about, instead of me going to get this hard money loan and me paying them 12% interest, how about, uncle, you lend me the money, I'll pay you 12%. After I sell the property, do all the work and sell it, I'll pay you back what you lent me plus the interest. Or another thing you can do, which is easier because it's like less funds, is that you can actually pair that together. Because say you get the hard money loan, 80% of the purchase, 100% of the rehab, you still need 20% down payment plus holding costs like utilities and insurance.
Precisely what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you could go to the uncle and say, okay, I need $30,000, and I already got this loan. They already approved it, and most of the time when a hard money lender approves a deal, it's like they vetted it too. So it's not just you're going to go into a deal where it's like, oh, I hope this works, but you might not know that it's a good or a bad deal. But a hard money lender will never loan on a deal that's bad. It's a second form of vetting the deal.
Sure.
Then you can go to your uncle and say, hey, these guys are going to fund almost all of it. I just need some for the down payment. So that's a second way to do it, where you could pay them interest. And then a third way is when you partner on something. So usually the best way is if you wanted to partner and he provided all of the funds for the whole deal, maybe you could offer to split the profits 50-50 with him. You could say, I'll go out and find the deal, I'll do all the work, I'll sell it, you just provide the money, and then we'll split the profits 50-50.
So
So that
there's no. I that's exactly what we're doing with Jose, right? We're presenting this in all these options. So I'm just trying, I guess, to solve Jose's situation right now, which I should not be doing, but it would be a good practice case, I guess.
Yeah.
And I know that the audience here interested in that business opportunity are listening, so maybe I should just do this in private. Anyway, so you were saying,
well, you can use the example without calling people out.
Perfect. So with Jose,
stop saying you're not supposed to say it.
With this particular situation, this is a great opportunity. It is a retail property that is going to bring, put the money numbers together today, $6,000 a month. So this is about $120 per year. This is gross, net
for a rental. Okay.
Per year. So we're trying to see what's the best offer to make to this lender, this small lender that's going to come up with a 20% and partner too. We need the credit, right?
Yeah. So this person who she's referring to, which will leave nameless, he has a property. Is going to do the. He has a property. Is going to do the work. His credit is not quite there for this particular loan, and then he needs some help with the down payment because he doesn't have all the down payment money. So someone else is going to come in who has a little bit better credit. They can sign on the loan together, and then they'll provide some of the funding for the down payment. And then what they got to do is they got to talk and negotiate and figure out what kind of profit split they want to have.
Correct. Now, the gain is here, the advantage here is that we do have already committed two potential vendors. Obviously, this is going to be an owner-operator. We know exactly what rents are going to be going there. So we have a great opportunity to pay immediately or pay in a 3-year term, 5-year term. What's your suggestion here? What would you do?
Ask that again.
If you are trying to negotiate those terms with this investor, what would be the best suggestion for both parties, or the borrower, the main investor?
Yes, the main thing in negotiations is you want to offer something that's fair, but you start where basically you start with your best terms, and then you have the other person either accepts it or they say, well, no, I was thinking about this. And then you kind of go more in the middle. Then going in, you want to know what's the best you'll do and what's like the least you'll do. And both people do that. And as long as if there's a gray area, it falls in that area.
Right. And so yesterday the questions were, how do I get my money back? I'm putting my assets here. What happens if this person doesn't pay me? And again, it was everything is an agreement of the minds, and everything should be expressed, in a written agreement.
Yeah, so if they're doing the deal together, if they're both signing on the loan, I'm going to assume they'll probably have the property in a shared LLC, which they'll both be owners of. So it's not, because he's not doing a loan, right? It's going to be a joint venture partnership, or is he?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. It's going to be either the loan, depending on how comfortable they feel, or would be a venture partnership, and then could be more money that they're bringing in, or a different terms.
So structuring wise, which I'm very good, knowledgeable about structuring deals. So if he's bringing in a partner to sign on the loan, the chances are he's gonna have to be owner of the property or the LLC that's going to be in. So then it'll probably have to be like an equity play, because then you can't be like, sign on my loan but then also loan me money, but then, you know what I mean?
So we have to play with the loan terms first, with the loan structure, in order to structure the entity to continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a very specific deal, which I can help you with later. But so if you do want a partner, there's a few ways you can do it. First of all, if you're doing any deals, you shouldn't do it in your own name, because it opens up to liability. Someone walks by, a contractor gets injured, people can sue you, and then everything that you own is up for grabs, right?
How do I protect myself?
So to protect yourself, you want to form an entity. It's very inexpensive, especially if you're doing a real estate deal where you're paying a lot for other things. So you either want to start a corporation or an LLC. They're both about $500 or less. You just need to form one, and then actually specifically for hard money loans, they don't even loan to individuals. You need to have an entity. So you make whatever entity you want, and you can actually do it in like 3 days. You pay a lawyer, they get you the entity. The loan is made to your entity, and that protects you. So if something happens, it's only what that entity owns is liable. Sure,
we understand that. So we have the hard money, we have the private money. Then what do we do? I don't know anything. I'm brand new.
How do you close the deal?
No, I mean, I have the deal. I have the property. I mean, I have the money. What do I do now? How do I go?
So you call an attorney, you set up closing. The attorney, the lender, and the title company will do everything kind of behind the scenes. They'll keep you up to date.
I haven't found the property yet, so I have the money. I
oh, you have the money, and you want to use it to buy a property?
Correct. No.
Or you want to use it to lend?
So do I go to you first? So like in a traditional transaction, usually what we suggest as brokers is for a buyer to go get the loan, and that's the people that my audience is what they know. I'm normally, they usually it's like, I want to buy this or I want to do this, but my credit is this and that. So that's what they focus on. So trying to show them that there's not just traditional ways, there's so many ways. Now we have all these loans. What do I do? Do I go to you first and then you pre-approve me? Do I show you?
If you want to get a hard money loan, you're saying? Yeah.
And the steps to get the property and such, yes.
Yeah, so do you have how to find properties?
Yeah,
let's do one question at a time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We get the financing first. You already talk about how we get the financing, but do I go to you first or do I find the property first?
You find the property first.
Which is the opposite of the traditional way. That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So when you're buying a house to live in, you basically go to get pre-approved.
To the bad bank, right?
And then you go and find a property because then they know how much you can afford.
That is correct.
So when you're doing an investment, you actually want to find the property first because since it is asset-based, I can't be like, hey, I'll loan you money on this property that doesn't exist. Like you need the property so I could base off the loan off that.
So with that being said, we have to think this is a business, right? This is a business. Don't worry about how much. I mean, as long as you work your numbers, you have a plan. It's just focusing on business. And the only reason I emphasize this is because my clients usually go back to the tradition.
Yeah.
So when I explain one thing, they go back to, yes, I understand. I think this is what I want to do. But how much interest am I paying again? Or what's my down payment? Or what's my... Even though
I'll lay it all out in the correct process. So if you want to do an investment, whether it's a flip or a rental, go out, find a property. So there's two ways to do that. Either you could hire a rockstar realtor like Corina to find your property on the MLS, or you can find something off market, which you got to talk to homeowners, motivated sellers. There's wholesalers out there who have inventory where you can get off market properties. So once you find the property, get it under contract with the seller, and then depending on what you want to do, if you want to do a hard money loan, basically anything, because you can't really pitch a deal to someone to lend you money until you have the deal. So once you have it under contract, they know they're not going to waste their time because you already have it locked up. Then you can submit it. So for instance, if you want to get a hard money loan with me in my company, what I can do is once you have it under contract, you submit it to me. I'll ask you like a few questions of the property, some stuff about your background, financially, and then within 24 to 48 hours, I'll let you know, okay, this is how much we can get you. Here's what the terms might look like. Is this something you want to move forward with? And then if you say, okay, I'd like to move forward, then you do a form application, turn in your paperwork, and you can close in about 3 weeks for a fix and flip, which is, pretty quick compared to, home loans out there that take anywhere 45, 60 days. Sure. And then there's a bunch of stuff comes up and back and forth and bureaucracy and everything.
Yes.
So that's like a hard money loan. And then you also can let you know how much you would need to bring to closing. So then that would be the amount of cash that you would either have to contribute, or you go to your or you go and raise it from somebody who wants to lend you money to do the deal, or who wants to partner with you and split the profits.
I do have to interrupt you here because tell them about raising money. What does that mean? Because everybody has a different concept. I don't know if we know what that means here.
So the way that I look at it is that, okay, there's a property, and I need this much money to be able to do this investment.
But I don't have anything in my bank.
Yeah, so you don't actually need anything. When I started, I had no money whatsoever. I started in my mid-20s, and then out of necessity, I had to raise 100% of the funds to do my first few deals.
How much was that? Your first deal?
I think it was like 50 or 60,000.
Out of necessity, who a gun in your head, go get the money.
Well, no, it's just like I didn't have 60,000 in the bank to like go buy a property.
But you wanted to. So
I wanted to do the deal, and I didn't say, oh, I'll wait till I have the money. Because I'm like, when am I gonna be able to save up that much money? I don't want to wait 10 years to do that. I really spent a lot of time investing in myself, and reading real estate books and listening to podcasts and going to seminars and boot camps until I thought I was really ready, where I knew what to do. It's just now I have to go out and do it. So when someone was like, oh, you want to do this deal, what's your experience level? And I was like, well, my experience level is that I want to buy this property, and here's why it's an awesome, and you just misdirect the answer and you show how great of a property is. And after you talk so much and they see how invested you are in knowing what you're talking about, then they trust you to go out and do the deal. And then, especially with the hard money loan, there's hard money lenders out there, me and myself, that invest in people with no experience. Like, you pay a little bit higher interest rates on the front end, but then once you start doing a few deals, you get better and better rates.
Because you're focusing on the potential of the deal. That if this person defaults or whatever happens, you're still going to take it a good deal, right?
Yeah, so normally the rule of thumb is if you find a good enough deal, you can get it. Anybody will fund. You can get anybody to fund it.
I love hearing that because I see a lot on Facebook. Like, how do I start? Do I do a buyer's list or seller list? And I just find a deal. Well, how about find a deal and you'll find.
Yes, that's what someone says. Is like, you find a deal and the money will come, the buyers will come. Focus on the deal.
I see what you mean by both. I like it.
Yeah, why do one or the other? Do both.
Exactly.
There's no right way to do anything. There's just action.
So that's one of the reasons I find a lot of synergy here, because since I met Matt, he's just that person that does things, and that's what I do. I mean, maybe big
just
crazy things, just do it. It doesn't matter.
How do you say just do it in Spanish?
Hazlo, but it's not the same. No, and just get it done. I mean, just take the chances. What's the worst case scenario? I always think, what's the worst case scenario? I'm not going to die or go to jail, and that's why I move forward.
Well, the worst thing, I don't want to say it because I'm originating the loans, but something happens to the property, you don't like it, just walk away, and then the lender takes it back, and then your record doesn't help your record, but you know what I mean?
It really doesn't affect it, because I'm proudly always say that I am a owner of properties with bad credit, so it's not stopped me from that.
So that's the other thing. So a lot of people think credit is a big hindrance in the fix and flip world, or
any real estate.
Rental is a little bit, depending if you want to get the best financing, credit, but credit doesn't hold people back from. Doesn't have to hold you back from doing investment. So I had 2 people in the last 2 weeks say, "Oh, I've been wanting to do real estate for a while, but my credit's shut. I can't do it." I'm like, "Who told you that?" Like
totally.
I did the first property I ever bought. I had a 45 credit score.
Right.
So it's like you can't really get worse than that. And it didn't stop me.
And you got it. And you got $60,000 cash, huh? Or even more?
I had no money.
Oh, well, no. You got that for the property.
Yeah.
You were able to get the property and rehab it, and sell it, flip it.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say,
no money, no cash, still did the deal.
And even for rentals, I own 3 rentals and this one multi-unit, and all of them with no credit or bad credit, owner finance, all of them. 100%.
That's the other thing. You can get really creative. If the seller likes you enough and it's free and clear, you don't even go to the bank and say, "Hey, how about I pay you this over the how about I give you $500, $1,000 every month for the next 10 years,
or whatever term you want." Just it has to be, again, it has to work for both ways. I obviously don't want this person to tie up his money. He's not probably a multimillionaire.
What happens? No, you'll be surprised, because things that you think people won't accept because you won't accept it, you never know where they're at. So what happens is, like, say an older parent is retiring and they're selling their house, and then they have 4 kids that are circling like vultures, like, "Oh, we're going to sell the house, we're going to make a bunch of money," or "How much are we getting?"
Sure.
And the parent doesn't want to tell them, like, "I'm not giving you any money, it's my money." Or they don't want to say, "Oh, this kid's getting more than the other one." So actually you make the offer of, like, "How about I buy the house? I'll give you $5,000 down, and then I'll pay you $500 a month until the whole thing's paid off." And they're like, "Oh, that's amazing, because then I don't have to tell my kids." Oh, they'll just say, "Oh, I worked something out where you're getting paid every month," and they don't have to make those decisions. And a lot of times when you're older, older people are used to getting Social Security or annuities or anything like that, and then they think, like, "Oh, I'm getting a monthly payment. It's like a free job." So you never know what works for somebody else.
It's very much like the reverse mortgage, but it will stay within your family, and you won't have to, you won't have to go with the. Are you familiar with the reverse mortgage?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, very much like that. But obviously more less traditional. And again, I didn't even think about that one. So it is just fun to think about all the ways that to be creative, because I do go interview and sit down with homeowners that are elderly, that are either wanting to go to Mexico, retire, sell their homes. And I always say, don't sell your home, especially if they're elderly. I just feel like they could have a nice income. A lot of these ladies just want to go to Mexico and just forget about the cold weather. But
that's nice. I'm gonna go there.
To Mexico. You were just there.
I know, that's why.
Oh, you just went there. I'm sorry. Where did you go?
I went to Mazatlan, Cabo, and Puerto Vallarta.
At the same time? It
was a cruise, so it slapped 3 days in a row at the ports.
Oh, nice. Where did you start? California?
Yeah, in Long Beach.
Okay. Did you like it? Which part did you like the most?
Well, I got to swim with the dolphins. That was fun.
Oh, that was Cabo?
Cabo? Yeah, Cabo. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I've never been there, but it seems beautiful.
Mazatlan was a beach party. That was pretty fun.
That is party. That's by Guadalajara, no?
Probably.
I think so.
You know.
And then the other one was what? I'm sorry?
Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta? Well, I have a couple of friends there, so I've never been there. So you like the dolphins the best. That's cute.
That's fun. Yeah.
That's cute. You kissing the dolphins.
They kiss me.
Oh, that's cute. So Matt, now I want to tell you, I was very excited to have you here. Well, I am very excited to have you here because Matt is on. Not only does he get things done, just take action, but he moves fast. He's very inspiring to me. He really is. I watch him and his partner Ricardo, and I just want to continue going and doing things. And it's also so fun to be around them. They have a ton of projects. I have a game, a gathering actually tonight, which is the cash flow game. Do you want to tell them about it?
Yeah. So if you have not read this book and you want to get into investing, or if you just want to self-development, it's called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's actually the book that changed my life, because after I read that, it totally changed my mindset of how to do things. But he also created a game called Cash Flow, and that kind of helps you actually put the principles that he teaches, the principles and strategies, into action. So it's a really good way to think of things differently and then learn about financing. So they call it Monopoly on steroids. It's a really fun game. We hold it once a month, every month for I think over 2 years now, and we have that tonight actually after this. Where
is it and what time?
It's in Bugtown at Lazo's Tacos on Western and Armitage. We do it the last Tuesday of every month now.
You just switch, right, from Monday to Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesdays.
6:30 to 9. It's
really fun. It's really a laid back environment. I think I would highly recommend everyone to go there. You get to really learn, and it's so interesting because this is basic stuff that most of us are ignorant about and are afraid to ask. So this is the opportunity really to kind of see that we're not the only ones in the same boat.
Yeah, and 9 out of 10 people who attend have never played before, and they're new and they want to learn investing, and it's a good introduction to get in. So if you do have that fear of I want to invest in real estate, but I don't know how, or I'm afraid, this is a really good way, because the investments are actually real. They're essentially real investments that you analyze in the game, and it lets you do that without. And the funny thing is, people are still fearful in the game to make the investments, and it's not even real money.
That's cool, but it does teach us what Robert Kiyosaki says, right? It's the knowledge of, obviously, having the knowledge, but not only that, it goes above and beyond that, right? Our mind, our fear, our perceptions, the way we were raised, lack of knowledge, of course, but it is very intriguing. I mean, it really gets very intriguing, and that's precisely why I like to go there, because I get to see that although the person across me may be a higher rank on a big company, and I may have a perception of his knowledge, he gets to act just as afraid as I would.
Yeah, so the biggest principle that the book teaches and what he teaches in that game is that the cash flow quadrant. So a lot of people, most people, say 70-80% of people are employees, and they go and they work for someone else, and they trade their hours for dollars. They trade their time for dollars.
Regardless of who you are, whether you're the person, the janitor, or the CEO, they're doing the same thing, really, right?
Yeah, if you leave your job, then you don't make money anymore. Whether you're a janitor making $10 an hour, or you're a doctor making $200,000 a year, you're still an employee. The next thing is the self-employed. So that's not when you work for someone else, but you work for yourself, but you're kind of the only person there.
Like a restaurant owner?
Yeah, someone that's there all the time. Like you own your job. So if you ever leave that business doesn't, it falters. Like, if you have a mom and pop shop business, when you have like maybe 3 employees, like you have to be there every day. If anything, those people work longer than the actual employees. Instead of 9 to 5, you're working 10-hour, 12-hour days,
right?
All throughout the week.
What I see with the successful business like that, you're living there, and if you may go on vacation here and there, but you cannot go forever. You need to come back because something bad can happen. So you are still. So the premises are that you're still attached to something that it's not giving you freedom.
Right. You don't have the control of your life. You don't have the freedom. And what the difference is, that's the left side of the quadrant. The right side of the quadrant is like a big business or an investor. So big business is, say you have a business that's taking all your time. It takes all your time, and you have one location. But say you open another location, you hire more employees, or you build it, and you have 5 locations. You want to build something where that if you walked away, if you left for 2 weeks, the business doesn't stop working. There's other people to work the business. It goes on, and something that you can pass down through generations. And that's leveraging the income from that. And then the next part of that is being an investor, where you're not the big business. You're trading processes and systems for money. Like that's what's making you the money is other people, other systems, and processes. The investor portion is once you start making money from the bigger business that you built. Your money makes you money. So that's like if you're the uncle who has $100,000 and you lend it to someone, and they're giving you 10% interest, in a year's time, you have $110,000. You made $10,000 last year from not doing anything except having a conversation and signing a piece of paper. And then you do that year after year. And then if it gets big enough, you can live off your money making money for you. So you need to learn to leverage. And it's not something that you're going to do overnight, and it's something you're going to do at the beginning. But if it's something that exists, why not go out and do it and try to build that for your future, even for your retirement,
I am so glad you said this, because it's precisely what Miss Erica needed to hear. I mean, this potential opportunity that we have, and that's what I told her. She has this equity, and I said, put that money to work. And her response is like, I'm afraid to do so. But you just hit it right there, and I'm excited that you did, and that's the best part of the quadrant. Is that what you said?
No, it is. That's what you want to build up to, is to be the investor and have your money work for you. And even so, if you're afraid, let's say you have the $100,000, say, hey, I don't want to put this all at risk. Let me just lend you $10,000, and then a year from now I have $11,000 back, right? Because then at least you did it, and you had one investment under your belt, and you're like, wow, that made me money. Then maybe the next time you're like, well, let me try 20 or 30, and then you could do it to different things. Instead of making all those loans to one person, maybe you make it to different people, and you see who did the best, who was the best communicator, who's dealing with the best. You know what I mean? Like diversify. Sure. But if you have fear, there's different things you can do to mitigate your risk and that fear factor. And it's not so much about having the fear; it's about getting over the fear, because on the other side, there's a lot more opportunity than you might have available to you now.
Absolutely, I love that. So let's talk about your magazine. How do you get here? I mean, you've done a ton in the last, I want to say formally 4 years, but you've been really focusing on real estate part-time for 8 years?
Yeah, so I've been just over 4 years now full-time, and then 2 years before that part-time. So yeah, about a little over 6 years altogether. And those first 2 years were kind of the mindset, getting over my fear to kind of get into it, and then the fear of leaving my job and working for myself, and believing that I could do it, and believing in myself that I could.
Why did you leave your job? You probably don't have a lot of responsibilities, I want to assume, like a big family or a situation like that, or a big mortgage. Why did you say, I'm going to leave this cool job, which a lot of people would assume it's, comfortable, and then say, I'm going to do this without knowing anything, that you were going to, without thinking, I am going to fail. What if I fail?
So I actually have 2 examples. I had 2 jobs, 2 years back to back. So the first one I had left because I knew there was something more on the horizon, and there wasn't enough there for me, and it was more of the ambition of doing more. But then I started learning. I knew there was a lot more that I needed to learn before I can kind of go out into it. So I started another job, and then that one, at the end of it, I kept doing a lot of real estate stuff, at work, and they found out about it and they let me go.
So you were going to stay there as long as possible.
But then after that point was I had a decision in my life. Do I go back and get another job? And because even if, like we said,
totally.
Even if you're like a janitor making $10 an hour, or you have a better job making $20 or $30 an hour, you're still at a job. You're still stuck in that quadrant. And I was like, I need to get to this other side.
You need to be hungry.
Yeah, you got to be hungry.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's true. It's true. That's precisely what when I jumped from the commercial to, I was an employee, and I needed to suffer to really to continue going. I mean, obviously you have to believe in yourself. You have to get the knowledge, and definitely get surrounded by these people. I mean, by the people that you want to be like, because they will keep you going. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, no, definitely. 100% agree.
Yeah.
So then it was like, I was actually getting a lot of job offers, and it was hard to say no and like go back. But I had other goals. So I just went for this, and this actually took me quite a bit of time, a few years to kind of lead up and get into it and start having some success. And I made the mistake of like not having a mentor. Like I went out and went to different seminars and boot camps. So I didn't find one person to be like, teach me, let me follow, let me do everything you said.
You did, but they wanted how much? I mean, you did. I mean, there are many opportunities out there.
There were a lot of opportunities. Yeah, they wanted 20 grand, 30 grand, 40, 50 for these.
Mm-hmm.
And then for these big educational programs, and then also to have different mentors, which wasn't like a specific mentor where. So
you really didn't find someone that you were attracted to in regards saying, wow, this is the person that I really would like to follow.
I didn't find someone that I connected with that I thought that, oh yeah, this person will lead me to the promised land or whatever. Sure. I was like, okay, so I'm going to learn it myself. I'm going to teach myself. And it took a couple of years to kind of get that rolling and going and get up and running. But I ended up figuring it all out. And then, I was partners with Ricardo. And then about a year ago, we partnered with two other gentlemen. And that's kind of how this came up, is now we actually have 3 businesses up and going.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is really cool. I'm very honored to know you.
Yeah, thanks.
So tell us about the magazine.
Yeah, so what happened was, so as we're doing a lot of, we're flipping about 15 houses right now. So as we got up and going and we're doing more, we've always been like big on social media, because that's the way, the more exposure, the more things you put out there, the more exposure you get, the more business comes in, the more opportunities you get. So we were really good with branding and marketing. So we're doing all these flips, and then somebody found me on one of my social media and reached out, and they go, hey, we're putting this magazine together. You would be great for it. I see what you're doing. Can I ask you some more questions and see if it'll be a match? So they called me, they talked about it, they loved what we were doing. So we had a flipping company going a little over a year ago. We actually merged companies with another partner that had a construction company, which is Compass Creations. Okay. Which we just got this swag in today.
I see that. Nice.
So now we have, and we've kind of doubled that construction company in size since a year ago.
That's awesome.
And then we recently started a real estate brokerage about 4 or 5 months ago.
Cobblestone
Realty.
Yes.
And we're up to 15 agents.
Are you hiring agents?
Yeah, we are. We're actually looking to be about 50 agents by the end of the year. And hopefully Corina will come over.
How did they reach out to talk to you about the opportunity, and what are you offering? So there's so many brokers.
For the brokers out
there, yes.
So the cool thing about our brokerage is that compared to a lot of brokerages, the other ones are just brokerages, right? So we're an investor first brokerage, which is not a lot out there, and if there is, it's a small boutique brokerage that might have like 5 brokers. But we're growing this big. We have a construction company, we have a development company, we have a brokerage all under one roof, and now a hard money lending company, and then we're actually starting property management as well. So what kind of makes us different is we have this like full service investment company and services that we've put together. Where so if you get any clients, instead of just being like, all I can do is buy or sell your house, there's a lot of other things you can do. Absolutely. There's 7 or 8 different ways we have now where you get paid, where you can refer someone to the hard money company. You could refer them to any construction on their house. We have a construction company. You can refer them to any of our other services. You can actually go out and make cash offers instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to list your house. Make a cash offer on our behalf, and then we can actually buy the property. But then if that doesn't work, you can always offer to list the homeowner's house. So we have a lot of different flexibility. If you want to learn to flip yourself and you're a broker, who better to learn from that's someone that's already go out and try to find a managing brokers who know how to flips. There's not a lot out there. They're more focused on the brokerage. And then the other thing is a lot of times you're competing with your managing broker, because if a great lead comes in, they're going to take it. And if they give you any leads at all, they're going to be the leftover leads that they didn't want. Whereas we don't really focus on being brokers or competing. So we don't take any of those listings.
Producing.
Yeah, like even I got, there was an investor out of Oklahoma that I had met actually in Denver, and he just happened to have 4 houses that he was trying to sell.
What part? What in Oklahoma? Tulsa? Don't tell me, you're killing me.
I don't recall actually, but he actually had 4 houses in Chicago that he couldn't sell, and the guy he was working with, the broker, wasn't very good. He even had for sale signs in the front yard.
Bless you.
I
Salud.
didn't do it. And I was like, oh, I can help you sell those. Like that's what we do.
Are we out?
Or we can cut off.
I'm sorry. We're like chopping away.
Are we still going?
I think so.
So then even those, I just gave them to my one of our brokers that we had, because I didn't even want
We're gonna have to continue with this one.
Yeah.
You're coming back, I hope. Thank
Okay,
you,
yeah.
Matt. We're gonna continue the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
De los latinos en Chicago y el mundo. Dimensión Latina FM. Solo música buena.